now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run, the Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like, you dislike, go ahead, shoot me a call, 219-413-9405, and we will play your take back on our next episode. I got you. I'll air it out. I don't care what you're talking about. As long as you're making sense, I got you. Now look, the Kansas City Chiefs, they are the Super Bowl champions. They defeated the San Francisco 49ers 25-22 in overtime. And it was a hell of a game, bro. I loved watching Pat Mahomes go out there and look like the GOAT that he is, man. I loved watching. I loved the Chiefs figure it out. I loved how they figured it out all throughout the game. And then in the fourth quarter, they really just started rolling. They started rolling in overtime. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. But here are some opening thoughts that I have regarding the game. Obviously, it was a lot that went down, so I'm gonna unpack some of these different things. But we got a few more different things actually coming on as well. But the first thing first, man, one of the things I wanted to mention ahead of this game and after the game is right when the game finished. This was one of the thoughts that I had in mind, that the Chiefs, they defense, they definitely won them this game. Because the defense was so good at stopping the 49ers and preventing the 49ers from scoring time after time, this really allowed the Chiefs offense to figure out whatever the hell they needed to figure out to get themselves back into this game by scoring the ball. And I love that it was such a masterpiece in terms of a chess match, because at one point, Chiefs couldn't get anything going offensively. They were not rolling in that first half. I mean, everybody knows, if you watch it, it was a boring ass first half, bro. Let's call it for what it was. It was terrible in the first half, but I mean, eventually they got rolling, and I loved watching the Chiefs figure it out offensively and really getting Kelsey going. Pat Mahomes started dicing them up. He started picking apart the defense when they were in man. He started picking them apart when they were in zone, and he ultimately got it together, which helped them end up getting the victory down in overtime later on in the game. And I loved watching that. But a couple other things here is Kyle Shanahan blew another lead now. Ooh. I don't know. Maybe you do know. Maybe you haven't heard me talk about Shanahan yet. But, I've had beef with Shanahan for some time, bro. Going all the way back to when he was the offensive coordinator for the Atlanta Falcons. I had beef with Kyle Shanahan because, although he made that offense look great, just like he did with the San Francisco 49ers, the offense looked like it was the best in the league. The run game was rolling on all cylinders. I think Tevin Coleman and Devontae Freeman was the running backs for Atlanta Falcons back when Shanahan was the offensive coordinator. And he had those guys looking brilliant, absolutely marvelous. Looking like the best running backs in the NFL, the same way Christian McCaffrey looks like. And I think Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the NFL. But the whole reason I even bring this up is because everybody remembers what happened when the Atlanta Falcons went to the Super Bowl. We know what happened. Kyle Shanahan was up 28-3 against Tom Brady and the New England Patriots. But guess what happened? That man blew the lead 28-3 and ended up losing the Super Bowl. And ever since then, I've been unable to trust Kyle Shanahan when he has an advantage by any margin in the playoffs and in a big game that he's supposed to win, because he always blows the leads. This is what happens time after time with the Shanahan ran offense. This is just what continues to go on. The Chiefs, they beat the 49ers, but they came back from a 10-point deficit. When they played back in 2020, the Chiefs also came back from a 2020 deficit. So, bruh, it keep happening. Time and time again. This keep going on. So, alongside the Chiefs, I think they did good and they did their part. I don't really have much to pick apart about the Chiefs other than, they couldn't hold Mahomes when they really, really needed to. Offensively, they had things rolling, and McCaffrey carried this offense time after time through key stretches of the game. And Brock Purdy made some great passes as well, which I thought was dope, because I get on Brock Purdy a lot about not being that guy. But all I'm going to say about him being that guy is, I've never said Brock Purdy was trash. I never said Brock Purdy was a bad player, but Brock Purdy took his team downfield and got 3 points in overtime. But that guy, Pat Mahomes, took his team downfield and got 6 points when his team needed it most. So that is a key difference of what I say. Brock Purdy is not that guy, because that guy wins ball games. That guy makes sure the job gets finished no matter what. That guy is going to make sure his team finishes out on top. So to me, yes, Brock Purdy's good, but he's still not that guy like I've been saying all season. He's a good quarterback. Don't get it twisted at all. Clearly, he played pretty good in the Super Bowl. He made some key throws when he needed in the NFC Championship game. He also made some key throws that were very, very crucial at that time. So kudos to him. But at the end of the day, Brock Purdy is still not that guy. The guy you got to make a game plan for. The guy you have to really, really sit down and go with your defense and say, okay, this guy is going to be a problem when we go against him. No, he's not that guy. And as far as the New England or the Kansas City Chiefs, look, I'm getting them mixed up because they both great teams. Andy Reid, Pat Mahomes, Travis Kelce are a dominant trio. I told you they're the modern day Tom Brady, Rob Gronkowski, and Bill Belichick. Those guys are amazing. I love how they picked apart the Niners defense on that last drive down the field. And the main question here is, can the Kansas City Chiefs get a three-peat? I think the Kansas City Chiefs can for sure get a three-peat, because nobody expected them to go all the way to the Super Bowl this year when they looked at the beginning of the season, the middle of the season, and even at the end of the season. People didn't expect them to beat the Miami Dolphins. People didn't expect them to beat the Buffalo Bills. People didn't expect them to beat the Baltimore Ravens. All of the best teams in the AFC, the Kansas City Chiefs defeated them. If you would have named any team, you asked any random person in the beginning of the season, hey, who do you think is going to the Super Bowl? They would have named either the San Francisco 49ers, the Baltimore Ravens, the Miami Dolphins, or the Buffalo Bills. One of those teams would have been named, and I guarantee it. But guess what the Kansas City Chiefs did? They defeated each and every one of those teams. So you have to give those guys some credit for that. They're underdogs, but like I said, you keep judging them way too early in the beginning of the season. They get bored. It's what you do when you continue to win over and over again. Sometimes you get a little bored. You get a little relaxed because, it doesn't hype you up as much. So when you go play a big game down deep in the playoffs and the intensity is there, it's a win or go home, the stakes are higher, of course you're going to perform a little bit better. So absolutely, I think the Kansas City Chiefs can three-peat. They didn't have a chance this year. People counted them out this year. Next year, it's going to be the same thing. It's a lot more competition going on. You still going to have the Ravens, who's their top dogs. I would love to see them go on and go to the Super Bowl, beat the Chiefs, but it's a hard thing to do. It's a hard thing to get past Pat Mahomes. I would love to see the Dolphins go there. I would love to see another team from the NFC, the Detroit Lions, win a Super Bowl. But it's hard to beat Pat Mahomes when you have to go against him. Those guys at the Kansas City Chiefs, they take things game by game, week by week, and they prepare very, very well. So it'll be tough to defeat them, when you're looking weeks ahead, or it'll be tough to defeat a certain team looking weeks ahead. But when you actually sit down, take it game by game, and think about what we got to do, make them on-the-fly adjustments, the Kansas City Chiefs, they're always going to be a factor as long as Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid is there. I know Travis Kelce is on the verge of retirement, but as long as Pat Mahomes and Andy Reid there, definitely on the verge of doing something special. All right, look, man, we got a voicemail call. We got some voicemail calls. Also, if you heard that and you disagree, maybe you agree, maybe you like something I said, or maybe you dislike something I said, go ahead, shoot me a call, 219-413-9405, and we'll play your take back on our next episode here. As I mentioned, I'm pulling up the voicemail caller here, and then I'll go ahead and play it. It's something related. It's not related to football, but we're going to go ahead and hear them out, see what they got to say here on the voicemail line. So here it is. Let's do it. Let's see what he's talking about.
It's your family, Tristan.
What's the deal, Tristan?
The Warriors, they not over with. I'm trying to say, every time somebody say they over with, though, they not. I'm telling you.
Oh, okay. So I know exactly why he sent me this, and I know exactly what he's talking about. So if you wasn't keeping up with basketball over the weekend, Stephen Curry hit a buzzer beater. The Warriors ended up winning the game over the Phoenix, or they beat the Phoenix Suns too. I believe it was two separate games. Or it might have been the same game. Either way it goes, the Warriors got a big win over the weekend, and it was a cool little win. I'll put it that way. But as far as the Golden State Warriors dynasty being here and being finished, bruh, they are done, bro. We gotta stop this. I know we all Stephen Curry fans, and I know we really like the Warriors. We loved what they did over the past few years and all of that. But bro, let's call a spade, bro. Let's call a spade. The Warriors ain't got the juice like they got no more. They getting ran out the gym by bums. They getting ran out the gym by young guys, old guys, you name it. And then the chemistry up there is just beat down, bro. You got Clay who be throwing up bricks every other game. Draymond getting ejected for playing UFC and playing MMA, doing jiu-jitsu. He's in the game just wilding out. They got beef with between Kuminga getting touches, Steph Curry getting touches. They got a lot of things to figure out. So yeah, they're not terrible. They're not the worst team in the NBA right now, but also too, I don't have enough faith in them that I can consider them to still be going on with this dynasty. Now, maybe if they made some big trades at the deadline, say they picked up another superstar, another all-star or something, then maybe I could consider it. But because they haven't been doing much in the whole regular season and nothing has changed and we're almost at the midway point in the season, I can't ride. I can't ride with them, bro. Because, last year, they got put out against the Lakers. The year before that, obviously, they were still counted out, but they thrived all the way in the playoffs, which is what I'd say, good teams end up doing. But the Warriors, they're looking like damaged goods right now. It's looking like they on their last leg. Last year they fell short, and I think this year they're gonna fall short as well. You got Chris Paul in there. At some point, Chris Paul is gonna come back. That's gonna shake up the lineup as well. Like, it's just too many different outliers going on with the Warriors for me to consider them a healthy dynasty right now, or for me to consider them a dynasty that's still on the way. So I can't stand behind the Warriors still being a dynasty, but I respect anybody's opinion who think it's gonna happen. But hey, like I say, only time will tell, and we gonna figure it out. We gonna see what happens come postseason. And so I'm gonna get back at you, Tris. We gonna see what happens postseason if the Warriors really still about it or not. Because if they even get in the playoffs, if they even win a play-in game, we gonna talk. We gonna talk for sure. All right, look, we got some news coming up. Don't go anywhere. Also, too, as you know, Usher shut it down at the halftime performance, so I got to touch a little bit about that. And then the NFL draft is coming up now that the season is over. So, of course, we got to get some highlights on that, what the Bears going to do with the number one pick. But anyway, we got some news for the run coming up in just a second. It's halftime. We'll be right back. All right, and news for the run. Let's get into it, man. So the NBA, they got the All-Star Weekend this weekend. The three-point competition is happening, the dunk contest, celebrity All-Star game, and the regular All-Star game as well will all be held in Indiana through February 16th all the way through the 18th. So it's looking like it's going to be a great weekend for the NBA, all fun and games. But also the Dallas Cowboys All-Pro Micah Parsons will be playing in the Celebrity All-Star game, which is going to be dope. But he's going to have some competition as well because this guy used to hoop in high school as well. But Texans quarterback CJ Stroud will also be playing in the Celebrity All-Star game in the NBA. So I'm kind of looking forward to these buckets, seeing what kind of buckets these NFL guys got, because sometimes they be balling and sometimes they be trash, but it's also that notion about those NFL guys that be playing rough and be getting other people injured and all of that. So it'll be cool. But as you know, in the NFL, obviously the Kansas City Chiefs, they won the Super Bowl. They defeated the San Francisco 49ers 25-22 in overtime this past Sunday to win back-to-back Super Bowls for the first time in 20 years. Man, and as I mentioned too, the halftime show in the Super Bowl was on an absolute another level, bro. It was crazy. I loved watching Usher, and I know I can't be the only one, only for a second. I'm going to touch on this for a brief second, then we go on to the Bears. But I know I can't be the only one that was in the living room dancing just a little bit, bro. Like, especially the part that got me hyped was seeing him come out on rollerblades, bro, roller skates, as you will, bro. Like, that was crazy, man. I ain't never seen nothing like that. And I know I've seen the stuff on like social media of him performing and him skating on social media and all of that. But I think it was just so dope for him to do that on stage, for everybody to be in sync, for him to have the moves. Like, it was so dope for me, bro. And I enjoyed that performance there from Usher. One of the other things too that's gonna get talked about a lot is bringing out Alicia Keys. Oh man. All right. I realized today I watched it live, and then I watched it again today just because, I enjoyed the performance, so I went back to watch the Alicia Keys. But it's something I noticed, bro. It was kind of scandalous here. So if you watched it live, you heard that bad note Alicia Keys hit early on in the Super Bowl show, bro. When she first was introduced and she first came out and started singing, and she said, that's how she sounded. Some people. That's exactly how she sounded. It was so bad, that first note. But when you go on YouTube and you watch it back, they fixed the audio. The audio is completely different. It's a whole different sound. It's clear. She sounds great. And I'm like, bro, I don't remember it being like that. So of course I had to do some digging. I was looking around, go back on Twitter, find somebody recording it live, find when people was posting the live clips and all of that. And I'm like, bro, that's really crazy that they switched the audio. So that was something that was mind blowing to me. I did enjoy her part being in the Super Bowl. I also enjoyed Lil Jon part. He really had it hyped during his time when he first got introduced on there. That set the whole tone, changed the mood up a little bit, set it all up. And I thought it was just overall a great Super Bowl halftime performance. And personally, I think it was one of the best that I've ever witnessed. I know there's some competition. Bruno was dope. Prince was dope years ago, but bro, nah, man, I gotta get that to Usher, bro. I gotta give it straight to Usher, bro. That was amazing from what I witnessed. But look, now, as I mentioned too, you got the Chicago Bears in the draft, bro. The Chicago Bears, they got the number 1 pick. Let's move on a little bit. The Washington Commanders, they have the number 2 pick in the draft. And a lot of speculation has been about the Washington Commanders trying to get quarterback Caleb Williams from USC. Now, the Bears, they said they've been kind of switching their words, bro. There's been multiple reports saying they're going to draft Caleb Williams. There's been multiple reports saying they're not going to draft Caleb Williams. They're not going to trade the pick. They are going to keep the first round pick or the first pick in the draft. And I'm like, okay, at this point, it sounded like a lot of contradiction. And these are all verified sources that I've named on here whenever I've talked about Caleb Williams, whenever I've talked about what the Bears are going to do. But I keep seeing them change their mind in terms of using the number 1 pick and trading the number 1 pick and picking Caleb Williams and not picking Caleb Williams. First things first, I'm going to say this, and I got to make this very, very clear. The Chicago Bears should not draft Caleb Williams, bro. You do not need Caleb Williams. I'm going to give you an example of teams that need Caleb Williams and teams that need a new quarterback to actually make their franchise a little bit better. If you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, you need a quarterback to make your team better. If you're the Washington Commanders, you need a quarterback to make your team better. If you're the New York Jets without Aaron Rodgers, you need a quarterback to help your franchise. There's so many teams that are in serious situations that absolutely need a quarterback to help their franchise, that desperately need a quarterback to help their franchise, but yet they don't have the privilege of being able to fluctuate and trade for the number 1 pick and all of these different things. But a team like the Chicago Bears, who already have enough at the quarterback position, don't need to draft Caleb Williams. It's not smart. It's not logical, because even if you draft Caleb Williams with that number 1 pick, how the hell is he going to get any passes off when you don't have people to block for him, or when you don't have wide receivers for him to throw the ball to? How is that going to help him? If Caleb Williams is in the backfield taking snaps from the quarterback, but has nobody that can pick up 6 yards off the run because the O-line is garbage, how would this possibly help this? This is the logic I'm not understanding when people say, oh, you got to get Caleb Williams, you got to draft Caleb Williams. Because Justin Fields, we've seen him play with the worst of the Chicago Bears. Not many quarterbacks can have any success in that situation. And you think a guy who hasn't thrown a single pass in the NFL will make this situation better? It's illogical to me to draft Caleb Williams, and it's not the smart move to do, bro, because he's going to need pieces around him. And if you draft Caleb Williams, and even if you draft a receiver to go with it, at the end of the day, you're still going to need pieces on the offensive line and on the defense to help him out. Because there was multiple games that Justin Fields, it wasn't his fault. He was up 10 points, 12 points, 21 points, 22 points, but he could not hold the league simply because the defense allowed the other team to continue to score and score and score and score over and over again. That's not his fault. It's only so much he can do in that situation to actually help his team if the defense is going to allow the other team to continue to score in clutch moments of the game. That's not his fault, bro. That's not going to change if you draft Caleb Williams. It doesn't matter what you do. You need defensive pieces to fix that type of issue. Situations where Justin Fields doesn't have time to throw the ball. You need offensive line help to fix that issue. It's not a personnel issue of Justin Fields, Caleb Williams, or even if you throw the backup, Tyler Bagent, whatever, however you pronounce his last name, even if you throw the backup quarterback in there, it's not the personnel issue at quarterback. It's the defense. They need help, and the offensive line need help. So you need to trade that number 1 pick and go ahead, draft some talent on the offensive line or draft some talent to help out the defense. That way your team can be stable and actually hold a lead when your quarterback, Justin Fields, gets you a 10, 12 point lead in the game. That's the issue with the Chicago Bears. It's not Justin Fields. Yes, sometimes he's wishy-washy, but you think Caleb Williams is going to come in and be a Tom Brady or be a CJ Stroud right away? Hell no. That don't happen often, bro. I can't get behind that. I can't stand behind that. I have to see that to believe it. That's the only way. But other than that, bro, I think that's all I got for y'all on the rant, man. The Bears, they've been making these silly contradictions of themselves of drafting and not drafting Caleb Williams and trading and not trading. Like, it's really ridiculous to me at this point because the answer is clear. The answer is clear as day. At least to me. At least to me, I think it's clear as day. But, you know, if you don't think it's clear as day, please let me know. Because I need to understand. Maybe I need to understand an alternative perspective of this because this is the way I'm looking at it. But please give me another perspective. 219-413-9405. If you really believe that the Bears should not trade the number 1 pick and should draft Caleb Williams, please inform me of a valid reason why. And give me some supportive facts because I'm not saying this to try and go back and forth with you. I genuinely want to know. That's it. And this is, like I always say, this is your platform as much as it's mine. So I genuinely want to know. Throw a smart take on here so I can share it and hear it myself because I need to know. But that's all I got, bro. That's all I got for y'all. Look, I appreciate you for kicking it with me, hanging with me, bro. Go ahead, shoot this to a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, a coworker, a friend, a neighbor, anyone you know who is going to enjoy sports or enjoy something that I talked about, even if they're not going to enjoy it. Go ahead, shoot it their way, bro. I promise you they not really going to care. Just be like, hey, check this dude out. I think he's dope. I think his podcast is dope. You should listen to it. He said something great about the 49ers. Or, hey, listen to it. He said something great about the Chicago Bears in the NFL draft. Take a listen. I promise you they ain't gonna mind. But in the meantime, go ahead. Follow me on Instagram at The Run Podcast. Follow my personal as well at I am Manny Wilson. We're gonna post clips throughout the week. And again, too, I told you I go to Toronto Thursday, so you may not get that episode Thursday because it'll be in the evening, or I think it'll be midday where we leave. So, and that's usually when I record the episode for Thursday. So you probably won't get the episode, but you'll get some clips and stuff on social media that may last to the weekend, may or may not. So go ahead, follow us on Instagram at The Run Podcast. But until then, man, that's all I got for you guys, man. I appreciate you for tuning in, hanging with me all this time. But I will be back later on next week, not this Thursday, next week. Thursday will be a surprise if I am back. Not gonna lie to you. But next week. So I appreciate you. And then I'll be back and talk to you so on and so on and so on.